I'm a chef and restaurateur with my wife. We own Restaurant Alba in the borough of Malvern. It's our 20th year now in operation. I have a daughter who's 22, about to be 23, which is always an adventure. And a couple dogs, and that's it, just a small, tight group of us, and like to get out and about quite a bit. Before Engage, it was constantly trying to find exercise routines that kind of fit my lifestyle, and something I enjoyed doing. That's always been a struggle for me in getting into the gym. So I have exercise and things I like to do for fun that get me out and doing things that were great. And I always tried to balance those things with like a gym routine, but have struggled. Everything from online programming to CrossFit to just a gym that you sign up and go and show up and do your thing. And always struggled to find continuity and balance through that. So like I said, I had done CrossFit years ago, and CrossFit really got me in shape right when I was around, so I guess it's over 10 years now, right when I was around turning 40. I had been out of shape for a while since my youth and when I used to play team sports and all that kind of stuff, and just focused on career and whatnot. I kind of got away from it. So CrossFit really got me in shape to be able to do things again, and it's where I kind of took up mountain biking and really got into that. And that really became sort of my obsession for the last 10, 15 years. And so it brought me fitness as well as got me out doing fun things. That was the routine before all the health scares really started. And then the setbacks started, of course. Finding Engage was great because it really encompasses a lot of the things I enjoy doing with really personal attention. And it is without a doubt one of those things you just show up and you're going to get an awesome workout, which is really the main thing for me. So that's been a really exciting piece, and it's kept me, in balance. It keeps me moving and getting stronger, which is what I always ultimately was looking for. Pretty good. The cancer diagnosis was really one of the last things. Like I had struggled with. I had broken my neck in a biking accident. And then right on the cusp of healing from that, I ruptured my Achilles, which was a really brutal injury and took about a year of recovery. And then as I was recovering from that, I got the cancer diagnosis. So it was like a 3-year stretch of like working on recovery from an injury and then getting back in shape and then being knocked down again. So, it was a struggle, to constantly find routine. But at the time of the diagnosis, I was just getting back to riding lightly, trying to continue the PT of the Achilles rupture. But my overall body was feeling very weak and, gaining more weight, and diet took a hit. Yeah, so really crazy story because my wife had been diagnosed with breast cancer, very complicated breast cancer diagnosis, actually. That was really one of the biggest scares as a family we've received. Even amongst my other injuries, that one really shook us. And we really started to evaluate our health in general. We were both now in our 50s and really trying to figure out, we always eat clean, relatively clean, and we don't drink too much, and all the things. We try to maintain movement and all the things you should. Sure, I carry a little extra weight, more than I'd like, but overall, we felt like we were healthy people. And her diagnosis really shook us. So in that, I decided to look closer into my own health, and we started, looking at it from a functional health standpoint, and dealing with functional MDs. And one of the things they wanted to take a look at was my cholesterol, which was notoriously high for a while now. I just never wanted to go on a statin, and had always done the calcium scores and stuff like that. So everything looked good. But taking a deeper dive into it, based on my wife's diagnosis, we decided to do a lower abdominal ultrasound of my liver to see if my liver was abnormal or unhealthy or producing fat as a result of my high cholesterol. Really just a deeper dive into my own health based on her diagnosis. And we found kidney cancer as a result of that. So needless to say, it shook us pretty good. She was still barely done with her own chemo. And I was barely recovered from my year-long recovery of Achilles rupture. So it was pretty, you start to wonder what we're doing wrong, and relatively before the broken neck and all that, we were both very healthy people, never had injuries, real big injuries, never had surgeries, anything like that. And then all of a sudden, just had a really rough few years. The emotional stress, right? The anxiety for me was absolutely the hardest part. Anxiety shows itself in me in just overthinking, worrying. So, you're diagnosed with cancer of the kidney, and then I would immediately go to, well, then it moves to the lungs or the brain, reading the internet and everything that ensues from that. So that was, I think, one of the hardest things for me, was to not really focus on the present situation and what we have right in front of us. It was allowing my anxiety to take me into the future, which we really didn't know yet. So my anxiety had already reached a level with my wife's diagnosis. So it was already cup full, so to speak, So any little bit of struggle was really overflowing. Getting a hold of that was really the biggest struggle. I mean, family, no doubt, was, particularly my wife. We have a really strong bond and foundation. So I think, and really just fighting for 2 years, almost 2 years of her diagnosis and being there for each other, it was really just a continuation of what we had been doing. It was shocking that what we thought was the end of something was now just the beginning of another. But my wife, without a doubt, was my parents as well were really big support, my mom, and my daughter, as well. I try not to burden her too much. She's living a life of a young 20-year-old. But, my wife, without a doubt, was the anchor for me. Yeah, so that was, a really big piece for me because I was really struggling after the surgery. Fortunately, I did not need chemotherapy. So the surgery was pretty rough and a good recovery. I mean, it was a really important piece for me coming back from recovering from the surgery to get back in the gym and really stay committed to a balanced fitness routine. Always being on the bike or doing training that referred to the bike, or, I didn't want to continue to do that. I didn't want to just jump back into mountain biking and risk further injuries. So there are always injuries coming with the mountain biking. Certainly wasn't thinking about racing again, but overall health really became the number one. And I really wanted to look at personal training. I had success with that in the past, especially when it comes to accountability and motivation. So that was a big piece for me. Started reaching around to gyms that I knew did some personal training on the side. It was all very expensive, and we were not in a place that I could really afford, some of that. I came across Engage through that internet search of trying to find gyms, and it seemed like a great thing. It was geared, maybe you would say, towards people closer to my age or older people, that aren't just monster gym rats in their 20s. And so I was like, oh, this could be a great way to kind of get back into it. I had no idea how much I was going to really enjoy the programming, and the community's been great. But that's pretty much how I found it, through internet search. Yeah, I think the biggest challenges were, well, one, just really being out of shape, not really doing anything for a long time, and but ironically, one of my bigger challenges, not related to the cancer diagnosis, but more that Achilles rupture, I was really nervous about testing the Achilles out, and, moving in a way. That was such a brutal injury and recovery that there was definitely in my mind that re-rupture is always a possibility. At that point, I had been beyond a year, really beyond 16 months at that point. So I knew that Achilles was probably stronger than my other one. But, you question, could my other Achilles rupture easily? Is there an issue with my Achilles in general? So that was the biggest hurdle, kind of coming in and feeling comfortable, moving in a way that we do here, making sure that I was okay. Yeah, I think overall, in a relatively short period, I think on a really weekly basis, seeing the gains that I'm seeing, and seeing myself get stronger. And, what started really, just a few months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, I guess I started, and was a hope to get me moving again and do movements that I was struggling with. I had gotten to the point where even just getting up and down off the ground, I was making noises, like old person noises. And, I think it became really frustrating and a little depressing. And so I joined the gym to be able to, get back to where I was on those things. And here I am, starting to reach overall PRs on deadlift and, and squats and that's PRs going back to really my CrossFit days even, So I think that has been one of the things I'm most proud of and most excited by. Yeah, I think one of the things that really got me through was you really staying positive. Easier said than done, but I found positivity through research and knowing that really it does affect the way your health is, right? You can affect your body and your mind through simply being positive. That's science. That's not just some goofy, corny thing. And I think having gratitude for my situation, many of us have, I think, in these areas that we live in and the country we live in, that when you're struck with something, we have opportunity to heal ourselves and we have medicine that can help. And there's a lot of people out there that don't have that. So, it's the same things I tried to teach my daughter over the years when she would have a rough day, you have to recognize there's many people in the world that don't have the opportunity and the ability to do what you do. And I felt you have to practice what you preach. So I spent a lot of time every day thinking about people less fortunate with harsher diagnosis. There's always someone that has a worse situation than you. And the fact that I caught it early, which was very important. Not everyone is, blessed with that. But, that overall, I think having gratitude and staying positive, and I think those two things go hand in hand and feed off each other. But that, without a doubt, got me through. And I'd be definitely the first bit of advice I'd share with others. Yeah, it's been awesome. It's a great community of people. I really like everyone here. Everyone seems to be here for the same reason. There's no one really just going through the motions. Everyone's at a different level, but everyone's doing, the same movement or a variation of that movement, but everyone's there to get a good workout in and support each other. So that's been a really cool piece. And it's not done in a way, some gyms, that it can be too much, right? And it doesn't have the staying power, I feel like. But everyone's here, everyone's mature, and everyone's here just to stay healthy. So that part of it, the people I'm working out with are great. You and Casey have been awesome. So I love that you get that attention of a personal trainer, but you're always in good spirits. You're always paying attention. It seems like no matter how many people are here, you all know what's going on with everyone. And you're able to give that individual attention to people, even when there's a lot going on and everyone's doing different things. So it doesn't go unnoticed by me how well you all do that, how important that is. So that combined with, again, the people that are here, just here to all work, and has been really awesome. I love it. Yeah.